Thank you very much for having me here. I will have a few words over the European Bowhunting Federation. And I've been president for the European Bowhunting Federation since 2003, I believe. The reason why we got together there, it was CAC had a 50th year anniversary that year in Helsinki. And it was a Finnish guy, Juha Kulme, he was the Finnish president of the Bowhunting Association in Finland. And me, we discussed back and forth the need for a European organization. And then we had some contacts in Europe, among those was Ludwig and the Deutsche Bogenjagd Verbandes. So we contacted them. I think we were 6 nations at the first meeting. 7. Yeah, I can't even recall the name. It was Sweden, Finland, and Germany. And then there was a few more. But it was an embryo for this. The previous embryo was an organization, FECA, that basically died when it was taken over by the French, but that's another story. And I was enlightened here by Oliver here earlier that we struggled very hard to be associated member in FACE. FACE is, as you know, we will go over it, but the joint hunting associations that sits in Brussels. It's like the super hunting association of Europe. And it was a very hard fight to get in there. We were blocked, among others, by the German Hunting Association for many years. Eventually it went through. And we have basically today, it's 26 or 27, we call it affiliated European members. Some of them are not true members, they're just, we have a contact person. Like Spain, for example. There is no Bowhunting Association in Spain. But we have Javier here, who is our contact person. Turkey is the same thing. There is basically an embryo for an organization. But we have contacts in Turkey. Yes. I think we struggle on. This is something that has been fairly valuable over time. I think Viken and we put an embryo on this for the EBA show, didn't we? So Christian is actually probably the father of this. And I was just a catalyst. But this has been, it's even more green now. This is 2022. We have made it even greener over the years. Is there anything else to mention with this? It's very visual. We used it in a hunting show just a few weeks ago and people are like, wow. The one we use is, the non-hunting countries are black. And you cannot use the N word, and unfortunately I used that. Some of the nations are black, like, Sweden. Yes, and this is basically the timeline of bow hunting and when it developed. As you see, it starts in 1945, where actually Serbia was the first nation to regulate hunting with the bow and arrow. Then it became illegal and then it's back. Yeah, I think, is there anything that needs to be added to that? This is the more recent developments, the last 23, 24 years. And you see Denmark, as most of you know, they legalized larger deer 1st of January this year, actually. And I can mention that there are some really good discussions going on in Sweden with the environmental agency. They are actually listening finally after 30 years. I know there are discussions in Romania. Even Bulgaria is thinking of putting regulations in place. It's legal to bow hunt in Bulgaria, but there are no regulations in place. That's never been. So the hunting association is actually talking to us on that. Serbia has open bow hunting. This is bow hunting in open spaces, state land. I guess it's hybrid bock and wild boar at the moment, which is good. You know. I also know that Slovakia is discussing a lot about opening it outside of enclosures. Slovakia is presently only legal in enclosures, but it's very likely that they will open in a year or two. Yes, I think any comments on that or any questions to the ladder? This, FACE is a key player. Actually, the hunting association is always a key player. Like Ludwig mentioned here earlier in his speech, that if you do not have your hunting association with you, then it's impossible to implement a new hunting form. So the first entity your government will ask, we want to do falconry. The first entity that will have a question is the hunting association. Do you think this is okay? If they say no, then you're screwed. It's not going to happen. So we worked very, very hard to get in, to be an associate member of FACE. And FACE does not allow regular members, how can I describe this? To become a national or a regular member, you have to be a national hunting association. So since we are European, we can never become a national member. And why do we need to be an associate member of FACE? It's basically because the hunting organizations have never been fighting for bow hunting. A lot of them have been opposed to bow hunting. So that's why we wanted to get in there. And it has to be anonymous. All nations have to vote for EBF to be a member, associate member. So this was a huge thing, since we were blocked by a lot of different nations in the past. But then the then president was strong enough to say that FACE is pro all hunting methods. The position paper, you probably have read it. It's pretty good, or it's very good, actually, I should say. It was the only nations that actually put their votes down was Switzerland and Austria. But the German Hunting Association voted for this document. Other things we have done together with the Deutsche Bogenjagd Verbandes is to get into EVA. This was something we were working for a long time. We really wanted to get in Jagd und Hund. But the Jagd und Hund was blocked by the local hunting association partly. So we figured that let's move around that. we do a counter-assault and take a left flank instead of the right flank. So basically, Christian Weikkinen and me and Louis and some really die-hard guys, we went for EBA, and we succeeded to get the stand at EBA. There's a lot of effort. Actually, Weikkinen is probably the key man here. He put financial resources into this, and you did the whole thing. Now, let's give compliments to the guys that were there. It was a teamwork, oh, absolutely, but you have to have someone spearheading. And we flew in some guys from EBF there, and I think we always have our flower from Estonia that kind of lightens up everything. And we had good discussions there, and the next year we got in or you guys got in on Jaktkontor. So that was an easy eye opener or door opener. But it was a lot of work and a lot of effort to get there. It sounds easy now. Another interesting thing is that FACE is, as I mentioned, pro-hunting in all aspects. And FACE has something they call the Biodiversity Manifesto, and it's a long list of projects that hunters do for nature, which in the public eyes, non-hunters like these things. And hunters like it, because we get more opportunities, and we like nature even more than the grey people. So there are two projects in that now, and one is the bow hunting project on Nutria, and Louis was key person to that, to get it in. And another one, and I mean, it's all about invasive species, and you know the last year, I think, invasive species got really rolling in Europe. We cannot have any, is it Rosa rugosa anymore in the Swedish parks. It's illegal. And then a lot of other strange stuff is going on. Anyway, Spanish Urban Project, Javier will be discussing that, or actually telling the truth on it. It's like an avalanche in Spain. What happens is we release a press release through EBF. This press release goes to FACE. FACE will distribute this further on to all their hunting associations in Europe. So we can basically micromanage a message that goes out, like this Hungarian message. Did you recall that in Hungary, 16-year-old kids can go bow hunting big game now, but they cannot go rifle hunting. So that's something we let out through the channels. So, and also this thing that happened in Morocco lately, we succeeded in, we supported basically, it's out of Europe, of course, Northern Africa, but we got some requests to support Morocco with their Terry Ficom, who is very, very interested in bow hunting down there. He actually guides down there, but we got a request from him about a year and a half, 2 years ago, to support him in his request. And then all of a sudden it opened the doors wide, you know. So it's basically possible for any foreigner today to hunt in Morocco. Bow hunter education, as Himmelstoss mentioned, EBF basically owns the system in Europe. And most of the nations use it. There are some nations that have chosen not to use it, and that's fine, you know. Basically, when you look at designing a bow hunter education system, you will end up fairly close to what the system is today. The good thing is that, as most of you probably have done this class, we are allowed to add to this system. So you can add your German thad to it or spice to it. I add my Swedish spice to it when I do the classes in Sweden. It is the only hunter education system that is international, as of my recollection. I have never found another that goes across borders at all. Another thing is that it works really well for us where it's not possible to hunt yet. I don't like the word legalized, because most nations only need a regulation change. They don't need a legal change. So we should take that legalized away. So, for example, Germany, it works really well, I guess, and I know early on we had discussions in Germany with, do you need a Jagdschein to take the class or not? And we agreed at that point that it is very good to be part of the hunting community. If you don't have a Jagdschein, they will look at you and say, but you're not a hunter. You're some comic figure. Maybe, what's his name? Sitting Bull. He had a bow as well, I guess. So that is a requisite today in Europe. We try really to force that you have the hunting education before you take the bow hunter ed. We can back up that image. I have a question. What is wrong with that picture? No, the other picture. What is wrong with this picture? It's my good friend Timba up here. He's not with us anymore, unfortunately. A great character, and he used to hunt with American Cocker Spaniels. He does not have a harness. That's the problem. No security, and he's a heavy guy. We could probably measure the Richter scale if he dropped there. It would be an earthquake. Yeah, I think Ollie had some comments on this. You like this image, so I think I'll leave the microphone to you. You haven't interfered enough.
It's all right.
Is it?
Doing well.
Did everyone hear that? Yeah. I was doing well. It's on record. I think they even filmed that. Yes, very nice. Now, but an interesting thing is that when I discuss bow hunting with the authorities in Sweden, we get the latest thing they throw at us is public acceptance. We've been through wounding, it's not a problem really. We've been through poaching, and poaching is not the problem when we ask around. We've been through second shot opportunity, and then all the kiplaughs will be abandoned. We have to put them on the scrap pile. And drilling. My drilling takes 3 minutes to load. And it's an old American drilling. I guess is it German? Yes, that's why it's slow loading. And this thing is, I'm really thinking that, you know what slow cooking is? Slow cooking. It's you enjoy this cooking, you cook for hours. I think bow hunting is slow hunting. We enjoy hunting so much, It takes 5 times more to harvest something with a bow. So I think I'm on to something, Why? And another thing that I found out at another meeting with FACE is that we kind of tend to talk a lot about killing. And what does third party, non-hunters think about hunters? The first word you get back is, oh, you kill. But what do we really do? We do hunt. We hunt a lot. And then we harvest or kill very little. And this is something we have not been able to convey to the public really. But hunters hunt. And then occasionally we harvest something. Or we kill something. Kill is not a good word. Harvest is much better. And I think honestly that by hunting with bow and arrow, you actually have to reflect on a lot of things. You think more about, you have to know it maybe a little bit more, you have to be a little bit more clever to get close, to get within those 20 meters or 25 or whatever your maximum distance is. And therefore, we are a knowledge source for the Hunting Association as well. And obviously we are a knowledge source to the Hunting Association when it comes to bow and arrow hunting. But also on tactics and how you actually behave in nature and how you get close to animals and so on. Yes, I think yeah, these are heavy. It's maybe too heavy on a Saturday afternoon to discuss, but slow hunting, and we do hunt a lot. Is it moving on? Case study Finland. It's just an interesting part. Antti Sarema will cover the whole thing further on here, but Finland is one of those places where bow hunting has never been illegal. What they did when they did regulate hunting is they put energy levels that the bow could not fit into. So standard is 2,000 joules for moose or larger game. You know, it's probably the same in Germany, or 2,200 joules or something. So then all of a sudden the bow was not acceptable for moose. And in '93, it's the same year that we started EBF actually. They actually regulated it so that it was in the law that it was possible for small game. In 2001 they changed it to accept roe deer. And they have an interesting thing, they do also hunt beaver, and they have to use a string attached to the arrow, which means you can actually shoot a beaver in the water and not lose it. Usually the common discussion in Sweden is that you shoot at 4 beavers and lose 3 in the water, because 3 will sink immediately. So it's super clever with this, and most of these guys, they use Dyneema threads that are very, very tough and so on. And then the regulation came on to larger deer species in 2017. So, and most of the deer they harvest is actually white-tailed deer. So this is the youngest son harvesting his first deer in Finland. I think roughly you probably read all this data. 130 are harvested with bow and arrow, and 100 with rifle, and they basically say the same thing there. This measurement of the catalyst may not happen, you know, it's super complex with this hormone measuring in blood samples. Yeah, about similar flight distance when you exclude any immediate immobilization. We will have Antti cover all this later on today, so I shouldn't be getting ahead of things. And it's supposed to be ready at the end of this summer, hopefully. So the thing is, we work with these international partners. Our two trade association, we got a grant from them just a few days ago, $5,000, which is nice. You know, we need funds to fight. I don't know if anyone of you been in Bulgaria, Hungary. I know a lot of you guys are Hungary. Macedonia is possible as well. I think it's actually called Republic of Macedonia or something like that. Because the Greek of North Macedonia, yeah, I know the Greek get very upset if you call it Macedonia only. Spain, and I have just basically lined up nations where it's possible to find someone organizing a hunt. That's why France is out, because it's hard to find someone, you know, organizing and selling a hunt. I don't think Finland is there either, because it's hard to find someone.